You think there'd be no shortage of real issues for politicians to address, from the NHS breast cancer crisis to rising crime rates, or the Windrush fiasco, the demise of the High Street. And no, Affa, I've not even mentioned the B word of Brexit yet. There would seem to be much to do. However, instead of dealing with those problems, they've decided to look at banning buy one, get one free deals on junk food and preventing celebrities from advertising so-called unhealthy food or drinks. Such proposals were put to the Prime Minister by opposition leaders last week, and according to reports, many of them are already part of the government's thinking. Well, do these hapless Herberts ever go shopping? Plenty of thin people, or those on their target weight, like to get a bargain to keep the cost down. Why should they be disadvantaged? As for the idea it's the government's role to ban a footballer from flogging crisps or an athlete hawking fizzy drinks, well, that's plain, extra salty, dry roasted, nuts. Hands off our bog-offs and get on with fixing the country.
OK, Nick, I'm with you in theory on this, right?
OK.
Seriously, OK? And I think...
Why do I always get nervous when he sort of does that?
He's about to jump over the table.
And the fun police are massively on display with this one, straight away, OK? Let's just have a butcher's at what Jamie Oliver says, right?
OK.
And then I'm going to say a couple of things about him.
Sure.
And then you can have it back, all right?
OK, sure.
The crisis since the millennia has only got a lot worse, and I think to say it's a catastrophe or an emergency is fair and true. I think if you speak to anyone in the NHS, doctors, paediatricians, dentists, this is a massive problem.
Jamie, you're all right, mate, OK? But I've got to tell you, from someone who calls it comfort eating and does a toasted cheese sandwich, OK, all right, as one of your repertoire, you're not always hitting the thing. It is a slight problem, and there are a lot of obese people, and I'm probably in that bracket myself, all right? But there's 100 million different ways why people are like that, and not just because they've been stuffing their face, OK? It could be medical, it could be, you know, induced by all sorts of different reasons, OK? So I think the issue here is, yes, we need to try and identify the areas where we can help, but absolutely closing everything down, that doesn't help nobody at all.
Can I say that I think it's a good idea is if they introduce traffic lights on junk food, say, for example, to educate people so consumers make choice, and that education increases choice and lets us know what we're buying. Currently, we can do that. That's right. But then to ban things, to say that celebrities can't advertise things, to say that, for example, bargain deals can't be offered, that's where I get a bit... I'm wondering why we've got a Conservative government that seems to think that the state is always the solution. Wasn't that meant to be the opposite of what Conservative philosophy was?
We should say all these ideas have come from the whole slew of all the main political parties, so the ideas have come from all sources.
How lovely it is to see opposition parties coming together with the government for once and all acting in the best interest of the nation. Can I just give you some statistics, please? Like, let's have a reality check on how serious this is.
I don't think we'll dispute the seriousness of it.
OK, well, just to feel...
She likes the statistics.
1 in 10 children are obese by the age of 5. 1 in 5 children are obese by the age of 11. This is not just about fun police. This is a public health catastrophe. Now, I don't think that it's fair to characterise this as banning stuff, because junk food's still going to be available. But it's one of a lot of measures. Another is stopping using cartoon characters to advertise junk food. I can say personally, as a parent, how difficult it is to get your child away from a product when it's got their favourite character on it. Why do we use cartoon characters to deliberately make this food that's packed full of salt and sugar?
Before I bring in Carol, it's too simplistic, as Phil said. You're not going to resolve it by stopping getting 3 packets of biscuits.
But people don't stop taking drugs because you put measures in against that.
It's necessary, not sufficient.
It sounds like prohibition.
As probably the most svelte member of the panel, I mean, it could be either you or me, I accept, but why shouldn't you be able... My local supermarket, I made a point of looking the other day, right? The 3 for 2s were on pallets of raspberries, chicken breasts, and I think it was banana... No, it wasn't. Packets of plums, that's right. So those are all healthy foods. Why should they be banned, and why shouldn't you get your 3 for 2 biscuits?
They're not banning the food.
That's what they want. No, the deal.
The deals.
Why?
Because I know, speaking for myself, I end up buying stuff that I would never otherwise buy.
But that's your fault.
Because that's the whole point of these offers. It's designed to brainwash consumers into buying stuff that's bad.
Banning the
Did you see that? It's designed to brainwash.
All of this is just tickling round the problem. Banning junk food ads before the watershed, everything that Jamie said, sugar tax, all that stuff, it's not going to touch us out. The sad truth is we have lost the battle with obesity. We absolutely have. There couldn't be more education out there. There couldn't be more initiatives out there. We have whole government departments devoted to trying to solve this problem. And what's happening is the problem is getting worse. Every day it's getting worse. And why? Because, and if we're going to talk about fat children, that's down to parents. It's not the government's responsibility to keep children thin. It is a parent's responsibility to do that. But it absolutely is. I mean, it's tantamount to child abuse. When I see really, really obese kids who can barely walk, you know, you're sentencing those kids to a lifetime of illness and misery. But we now live in a world of plenty where food from every corner of the globe is at our disposal. As a society, we've lost the will to control ourselves. We don't do it anymore. Yes, there are people who do, but generally people don't. And I don't know what's going to have to change. There's going to have to be a cultural shift in the way there was with smoking. You know, we taxed fags to hell and back, didn't work. It only started to work when we put pictures of rotting lungs and cancerous tongues on fag packets. I don't know how we do that with food. I don't know what we do to make that happen.
I don't know. I agree with you that parents have to take responsibility. But look, I was an overweight kid, and my parents gave me healthy food, and they educated me about what to eat. The fact is, as a young girl growing up, you are overwhelmed by messages about chocolate and sweets being desirable and cool and exciting and something that you save up your pocket money for. And those messages culturally kind of come at you from all angles. And we've got a culture in which kids aspire to food that is unhealthy. It's made
you sound like you're making a case for prohibition. And
no, I'm not.
As in the equivalent of in food. So I would support any educational campaigns like the cigarettes, because you're right, statistically it was shown that that's when it started to really drastically cut smoking. But it's an education campaign. It's not to ban anything. And as long as...
Not banning junk food.
No, there are some things in the list that do include prohibitions on certain things, like the buy one, get one free deal.
That's marketing. You're not banning the product.
Banning boycotts actually affects poor families. It affects
I must just interrupt, because it's interesting.
Not everybody can afford to eat.
Exactly.
It's interesting you say marketing, because I think we'd all agree that the idea of banning celebrities from selling certain products is nuts. And together with one of the leading global advertising and marketing companies on earth, I've going to bring to you some of the products that I know you're excited in marketing. For instance, Carol, we're all very excited about this campaign you're running on the front page of the Daily Scoop for European holidays, and we wish you the best of luck with that. I'm equally excited with AFWAS, which is offering tours around London, where, of course, you see Nelson's column and the statue of Winston Churchill. Who isn't excited by Majid's rather snappy line in gentlemen's clothing, and staying with gentlemen's offerings, of course, young Phil. Yes, grooming products with Phil Campion.
Quality.
But again, I know that you're not one really for banning, but if a bloke wants to sell crisps or sell fizzy drinks, surely that's not the role of government to ban that.
We are not banning the food products. We're banning the marketing strategy around them, which is buy one, get one free.
Why ban a way for families on low incomes to get a deal? Can we just bring in a guy called Sam Bowman? This relates to what I was saying about parents and what they do with their kids. He's the former executive director of the Adam Smith Institute. Let's hear what he has to say.
I'm not quite sure why they're so interested in the obesity of other people's children. I think that's an issue for parents to care about, and that's an issue for parents to decide. Parents do have the freedom to say, no, I don't want you watching that TV show, or indeed, no, I don't want to bring you to McDonald's for a Happy Meal. But that's a private decision for them to make. And I really wish these campaigning groups would leave parents to make that decision and not try to make that decision for themselves.
Did you want to read a final thing, Majid, or
no,
you're done?
I'm just saying, I'm weary of an ever-growing state.
Let's leave those supermarket aisles, because before we go, we've just got time for our straight talker, or should that be singer of the week? It's a lesson that never seems to get old. When you're in front of a camera, you've got to assume it's recording. But it seems someone forgot to remind Sainsbury's chief executive Mike Coop, Carol's chuckling, of that when he was waiting to speak to the media after news broke of the proposed merger between his supermarket and Asda.
We're in money, the sky is sunny. Let's send it, lend it, rolling along. We're in the money, the sky is sunny. Let's lend it, spend it, send it, rolling along.
He carries on. Oh no.
The chief executive's defence, he was trying to compose himself before the next interview by singing a song he heard in a musical last year. Mr. Coop, you are our straight singer of the week. Majid, we have to hope the deal is on song, but it's worse, that last bit where you think it's ended and he comes back for more.
He starts humming, and then the way he's trying to sip the coffee.
He actually looks a bit mad, doesn't he?
No, he's not. He's just done probably the deal of the century.
That is a very good way of changing the news agenda for what's like quite a problematic deal to...
you would think he might have a PR man on hand at the side, wouldn't you, to say,
He might have a team of PR men and women now, but
that happy he's made so much money.
Well, I'm afraid we've got to stop singing this song because that's it for this week. If you want to join in the debate, just search for The Pledge on Facebook or Twitter. See you next time.